Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is the Independent Times. And today I'm going to be going through the previews catalog. This is something I do every month. Normally, I get my previews catalog with my shipment of books. I buy it from a certain company. They ship them to me once a month. Primarily all trade paperbacks and hardcovers. I don't really buy stapled books anymore for the most part. Sometimes I do. Usually they'll be independent books when I buy them because I'm trying to support the creators, or sometimes you just don't get them any other way. Sometimes you can only find them as regular standard comic books as opposed to trades or hardcovers. But I get the previews monthly. I got this one a little earlier from my local LCS. I normally don't even walk in there. They don't carry many indies, so I normally just don't go in there. I don't buy a lot of Marvel. I don't buy a lot of DC. I do buy them on occasion. They gave me the Marvel catalog. I flipped through it. There was maybe one thing in there that I want, an old school Thor book. But that was about it. And for the most part, we're just going to go through. I'm going to flip through this entire catalog. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to go through the comic books. Marvel and DC have their own catalog, so they're separate, so they're outside of this thing. So that's the one good thing. I don't have to wade through any of their product. So here we go. On the cover we have David Hine and Brian Haberlin's The Marked, where witches are inked with magical abilities and their battle with evil has just begun. Sounds interesting. Could be good. I remember there was a time when the witches were the bad guys, but hey, times change. It all depends how you set up the world. And then we have ads for the mask and the future. We have Dynamite doing their thing. Standard. A lot of standard stuff here. Mr. X, which is a good book from back in the day by D. Motter. Alright. Keep on going through this thing. I don't know if any of you have ever gone through the previews. This catalog comes out once a month, and it basically shows everything that's going to come out in October of 2019. So this is pretty much everything that's going to come out in October. Now, they say October. It rarely ever comes out in October. It usually comes out a month later. Sometimes it comes out earlier. But yeah. But rarely do they ever come out on the month they say they're going to come out on. They have this section, which is, I guess, for Halloween. They're doing a special thing where they're giving away books, which is cool. We got a lot of independents here. Lady Machina. It's a lot of fun. Battle Cats was fun. Have some stuff from the major publishers, Marvel and DC. Yeah, nice picture by Kelly Jones. They're werewolves and stuff. Alright, so now we're going into Image Comics. So we have them marked. We have their previews. It's pretty cool. Looks interesting. Again, I don't normally buy single issues, so I usually just flip through these fairly quickly. Because what I'm looking for is trades, I'm looking for hardcovers, I'm looking for that sort of thing. Like I said, once in a blue moon, I'll pick up something that's not a trade. Although this is interesting. They're releasing Mark Miller's and Eric Canetti's Chrononauts. They're dropping all 4 issues at one time, which is, I guess, a different approach to trying to do this. I guess they're trying to go through the I guess since it's owned by Netflix, they're trying to produce it like Netflix. So they get everything done and they put it all out in one shot. I don't know if this is really a good strategy. Maybe if they released them 1 week apart, that might be good. But if they dropped them all in 1 week, I don't know if that would be a really good thing. For that, you just put them all out in one trade. Although there are people who just like to have the individual issues. Everybody's different. So. Cooper #1, Michael Fife. This book was interesting. I got it when he was producing it himself. My only issue with it was the lettering. I just found it very difficult to read. It was just the lettering was just a little, not where I wanted it to be. It was just hard to read. So I ended up dropping it actually because of that. Dead Eyes, never tried. Well, that's a brand new book. So Thought Bubble. Yeah, Ascender. I collected the entire series of Descender It was actually a very good book. Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. Awesome book. Beautiful. I love the fact that he just watercolors the whole thing, and it just looks fantastic. So, you know, great book. Gogor trade paperback. Okay, I'll probably pick this one up. I saw this one earlier, and it always looks interesting. And here's Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' Kill or Be Killed. This is probably something I'll pick up as well. This is the deluxe edition hardcover, so it's usually a little bit oversized, 624 pages, and it's $50. So I think it's well worth the price. So that's probably it. That's on my list. Ed Brubaker, incredible writer. Sean Phillips, great artist. Expect quality from those two guys every time. Little Bird. This one looked interesting to me, so I may actually, this is the first trade, so I'll probably pick it up. I always like to give this sort of thing a shot, just to see what's going on. My heroes have always been junkies. This one's a maybe. 72 pages, $12.99, so that's a possibility. I may pick that one up as well. Frel Durample. Yeah, his I think he did something called Popgun Wars a few years ago. Frel Durample. Yeah, I may pick it up. I don't know. Depends how my budget is looking, but it looks like something I might get. The Red Hook, Dean Hashville. I didn't pick up the first one. I don't think I'll pick up this one, but you never know. It might actually be good. Street Angel. Delia's Girl Alive. That's a maybe, but you know, it's not really my style as far as the artwork, so we'll see. Curse Words, Getting It Falls. What's funny is I never picked. It's funny. It's written by Jeff Lemire, and I usually pick up everything he does, but I didn't pick up this for some reason. So I'm probably gonna wait until it comes out in collected edition to get that. The Hit Girl, the new Hit Girl stuff by Mark Millar and various people. He has Daniel Way writing this one. He has Steve Niles writing Kick-Ass. I didn't pick up any of those. I don't know how they are, so they might be good. Who knows? Maybe sometime in the future. Walking Dead. I had gotten the original first volume. Couldn't really get into it, so I just didn't enjoy it. I like the artwork, but I was just like, wasn't really my thing. I'm not a big zombie fan, so I just never ended up getting into it. Only watched the TV show for about 4 seasons. Got a little tired of it. I just haven't looked back. Witchblade, not really a big fan. So, and these are the various books that they're back in print. Autumn Lands, very good book. Kurt Busiek, Benjamin Dewey, very good book. Criminal, Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, great book. Same thing with Fade Out. Hinges, book 1. Clockwork. I never picked this one up, but it does look interesting. I Kill Giants, another good book. Fun little indie movie. I Kill Giants. That's also a good one. So if you ever get a chance to watch the film and read the book, they actually make a good thing to go together. Saga, also very good. Tokyo Ghost. I just couldn't get into it. The artwork by Sean Gordon Murphy is excellent. The story is just couldn't get into it. Just wasn't feeling it. And Rick Remender is normally, he has actually a very good writer, but I just, for some reason, just couldn't get into that story. Analog, never looked into it. Ascender, like I said, I'm gonna probably pick that up. Battle Pug, great artwork, you know, fantastic thing. Birthright, great book. I pick up the trades of this whenever they come out. So Joshua Williamson is a fantastic writer, and Andre Bresnan and Adriano Lucas. Yeah, this is a really good book. This is a book that I would love to see get picked up by Netflix or somebody. This, I think, would make a fantastic TV show. Coffin Bound, yep, still in the single issue, so yeah. Deadly Class, can never get into it. Try reading it. Reminded me of way too many other things that I've read. It's just Assassin Kids, Harry Potter School, that sort of thing. You know, we're all in school, assassin school or whatever, and it's just like, okay. Yeah. It's not really, already saw it in Harry Potter, so it's just like, and then there was another book a few years ago that had done a similar theme with Assassin School. Not something I could get into. Death or Glory, never bothered picking that one up. Die, I picked up the first trade to that one, so I'm looking forward to the next one. East of West, looking forward to, I guess, what will probably be, because they're saying that Jonathan Hickman had announced that it was close to the end. This is a very good book. I have the first 2 deluxe albums. I'm waiting for the third one, so hopefully that third one will pop out, and then I can finish that series. Really good series. Gideon Falls is another one by Jeff Lemire I've never picked up. So eventually I'll have to wait till it also gets brought together in one thick volume. Hit Girl, like I said, I haven't picked it up. Ice Cream Man, never picked it up. Solar, nice book. Manifest Destiny, never picked it up. Middle West, great book. Really enjoyed this. Scotty Young and George Corona, or that might be Jorge. But very good book. Well written, beautifully illustrated. Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman, never picked it up. Same thing with Outer Darkness, never bothered. Outpost Zero, Postal, nope. Pretty Deadly, couldn't get into it. Read the first volume, it was good, but just couldn't get into it, so it wasn't really my thing, so I'm passing on the latest series. Rat Queen is a lot of fun, this book. Done by a lot of different illustrators. I think the original writer passed it on to someone else, and I mean, I'm going to give the next volume a try, hopefully it'll hold up. Reaver, Rumble, John Arcudi. This is a really fun book. I really enjoy this book. John Arcudi, I primarily know him from BPRD, working with Mike Mignola. A lot of fun. Really enjoy this book. I hope it gets to go on for as long as they need to tell their stories. Really fun. SFSX, Safe Sex. Alright, it's only into the very low numbers. Sonata looks like a lot of fun. I might actually pick this up. And Sea of Stars by Jason Aaron. I might actually pick these up when they come out in trades, so we'll see. Space Bandits, Mark Millar. That's a maybe. Spawn 302. I did order 300, so we'll see. Trees by Warren Ellis. I do have the first 2 volumes. Actually, very good. I'm a big Warren Ellis fan, so whenever he puts something out, I always I try to get my hands on it. On Earth number 4, Cullen Bunn. That's a maybe. Maybe when the trade comes out. I tend to really enjoy Cullen Bunn's stuff, his indie stuff. Haven't really tried to stay away from his Marvel DC stuff, not for any particular reason. I haven't really read it any of it. I just rather him produce. I'd rather just look at his indie stuff. So, The Weatherman Volume 2, number 5, Jody. I never read it. Just never struck my fancy, so I never picked it up. Alright, now we're moving into Dark Horse, The Mask. It was never really my thing, so. Count Crawley, the Midnight Monster. I don't know. This one's a maybe. It's a 4-issue limited series. I might pick that up when it comes, as a trade. Grendel Devil's Odyssey, 1 of 8, Matt Wagner. This I will probably pick up in trade or preferably as a hardcover. I tend to really enjoy Matt Wagner's work, especially his own work, his personal work. But I've always enjoyed his work. So this will hopefully be a lot of fun. Although what's funny is this isn't my favorite version of Grendel. My favorite version of Grendel is Hunter Rose. That is my absolute favorite version of Grendel. But I'm willing to give this a shot. Hopefully this will be good. I mean, I'm sure it will. I mean, Matt Wagner is an excellent writer, excellent artist. Black Hammer. Jeff Lemire. I've been enjoying this series immensely. I'm looking forward to this one where he crosses over with the Justice League. It's nice that DC is willing to do that type of crossover. So I know he's had a lot of history over at DC, so it's nice that they can actually cross-pollinate like that. Ruby Falls. Ann Nacinti, very good writer. This is a maybe. When the trade comes out, we'll see. Everything number 2. I'll probably have to look a little deeper into that. Invisible Kingdom by G. Willow Wilson. This one's a maybe. I might actually get that when it comes out as a trade. So, She Could Fly. I didn't pick up the first one. Not really too interested in it, so I'm probably going to pass on it. But, I mean, it might be a very good book. Who knows? Berserker Unbound. This is Jeff Lemire book. When the trade comes out, I'll be picking that up. Stuff like the Orville... that sort of the licensed property stuff, I tend to ignore it. I tend to not really get into that sort of stuff. Spell on Wheels, Kate left. I don't know. That might be interesting. All right, the best 75 EC Comics hardcover. I might pick this up. A big EC fan. It'd be interesting to see what their take on is some of the best stories. I mean, it'll probably have a lot of stuff from Wally Wood and a lot of these great artists in there. Word Crinkle, so on and so forth. Hellboy. Here's a one-shot. Yeah, what I'm primarily buying from Hellboy is I get the library editions, really nice, and then from BPRD they release it's nice thick volumes with hardcover volumes with a lot of the story with probably 20-30 issues in them. Those are the ones I tend to wait on. American Gods, I'm getting those in a hardcover collected edition, so those are really good. Fight Club, although I like the movie, haven't read the book, although I've been told it's really good and I should read it. I just even though Chuck Palahniuk is writing it, I'm just hasn't, not something that grabs me. Kabuki Omnibus, that's a maybe. That's David Mack, old time indie guy. I remember picking this up on the stands years and years, many years ago. I'm pretty sure I have the original printing of the first issue somewhere in my collection. So this is a maybe. So we'll see. No One Left to Fight. Well, that's probably, I'd have to look a little deeper into that. Like some of these, you can't just buy everything. There's just a lot of work by a lot of different creators, so you got to pick and choose sometimes. Ether. This is by Matt Kent. I've been enjoying this. I have the first 2 volumes. I've been really enjoying this series, so I'm going to continue to buy that when it comes on a trade. Like I said, the alien stuff, unless it's somebody unusual, an unusual artist picking it up, like StarCraft is not something I'd ever get. Then they have their manga stuff. Gantz, I saw they released, I guess it's an anime, it was 3D, but this was actually enjoyable. I actually saw the 2 live action movies out of Japan, and this was a lot of fun. Mob Psycho 100, don't know it. Not really something I worry about. Merchandise. Duke. Oh, and then we're into IDW. I guess they're doing all their Star Wars stuff. Marvel is licensing out to them. Got My Little Pony. It's nice, good kid stuff. Marvel Action Adventures. I don't know. Could be a lot of fun. I hope it is. I don't know why. What is this? The Fear Eaters. I guess this is a trade paperback for $10, 80 pages. It's not bad. I'm surprised they don't price these at a price point that's a little bit friendlier for kids and families. I mean, I would imagine they want to keep all the serious stuff at Marvel and DC and maybe have IDW and some of these other companies do stuff that's maybe a little bit more affordable to younger audience. But apparently that's not their MO to begin with, so I don't think they're really interested in that sort of thing. It looks like they're just catering to the same fan base that they always cater to. They're like, well, they'll buy that stuff, they'll buy this stuff. They don't really care what it is. They'll just buy anything that has these characters on them. But I don't know how that's working out for them. I don't really care either. DuckTales, The Addams Family, not really Transformers. I mean, some of this stuff is actually good. I think I read one of the omnibuses they released, and it was alright. G.I. Joe's, never a big fan. Usagi Yojimbo, though, a lot of fun. Stan Sakai, so if that's a good one to always pick up. Teenage Ninja Turtles. Funny story about the Teenage Ninja Turtles is actually because of the Teenage Ninja Turtles that I am actually an independent publisher. I remember I must have been 14, 15 when it first came out. And this was the black and white comic. When it first came out, and I sorted it out. Actually, I might have been younger. I might have been 12 or 13. But I was actually getting this magazine called the Comic Buyer's Guide. It was a weekly newspaper that came out that was literally, I had a subscription to it. They mailed it to my house. And this was way before the internet. So the only way you can get this news was through the CBG, the Comic Buyer's Guide. You would get this thing, and it would just have all the news for the week in comics. And I saw a little article in there, and it says, it was issue 2 had just come out, and they were announced how these 2 local guys from, I guess it was Massachusetts, who released this book, and it was becoming a big hit, and it was a lot of fun, and this and the third, and I just looked at it, and I was like, wow, if these 2 guys can do it, I can definitely do it too. And here I am, and they're at where they're at, and I'm at where I'm at, but hey, it is what it is. Napoleon Dynamite. I have no idea why this has a comic book. Just none. I like the movie, but why does this have I don't know. Maybe it's a really good book. Maybe it isn't. I will never know. ROM was a lot of fun when I was a kid, and I was picking this stuff up from Marvel. Not something I'd probably get today. Magic the Gathering, Stargate Quest, like I said, Cobra Kai, again, why would this have a comic book? It just seems to be stuff they just put on the shelves just to eat up space. I just don't get it. I mean, the show is out, and if the show's good, then that's fantastic, but why would they have this comic book? I don't know. Star Trek, yeah. If you're into this sort of thing, I mean, I enjoy Star Trek as a TV show, and that's how I like to consume it. It's not really something I would buy as either a novel or even in this format as a comic book. I did pick up some of the stuff when John Byrne was working on it, but that was about it, mostly because I'm a John Byrne fan. If that's usually the only time I'll pick this stuff up. I have to be a big fan of the creator themselves for me to get it. So, but this isn't anything that I would be interested in. But, you know, if you're a big Star Trek fan, you know, knock yourself out. Joe Hill, who I am actually a big fan of, with Lock and Key. This graphic novel collection, that's a maybe. I have to see what's in there, because I read some of the Cape stuff and I was like, it was okay. Didn't really enjoy it, but Lock and Key I thought was phenomenal. Love that series. So this is a one-shot. I may wait until they compile this with something else to put it on a hardcover. They had done that for a while. So I'll probably give this a pass until it's combined with something else and in a thicker format. Star Pig, Canto. These seems like they're doing some indie stuff, which is cool. You know, this might be some good stuff. When it comes out in trades, I may or may not pick them up. Depends on what I hear about them. Gears of War. There's Dungeons & Dragons. Jericho, Steve Canyon. For better or worse, I mean, if you're a fan of the strip, I guess this is something cool for you. Weird things. Lupus. Oh yeah, these artist editions. I don't own any of these. They're fantastic though. I've seen them. I salivate over many of them, especially the Mike Mignola ones. They just really expensive, and for me, you know, they tend to be very expensive, and they would just eat up a lot of shelf space. So those are two of the reasons why I don't have any. I do actually, that's not true. I do have a couple of them, but you know, they are expensive. So it's, you know, and they are fantastic. They're definitely worth having, but you know, you have to be careful. Budgets must be met. I guess this is some of the Marvel stuff. You know, it is what it is. They have their own catalog. Like I said, I could just bypass it, thankfully. Dynamite, Dynamite's like a catch-all publisher. They just have like tons of stuff. And if you like Vampirella, they say, oh, this is Tom Signosky. Okay. Oh, this is Vengeance of Vampirella. So they're starting a new series again. They're always stopping and starting this series, redressing her and some other new costume. Sometimes they just put her back in the original one after everyone makes a stink of it. But yeah, the Black Terror, you know, not really. I think this is I believe the Black Terror is he's a copyright free character. He's a character from, like, I guess the 40s or 50s, and just no one owns a copyright on him, so they just use him. The Dynamite art. Okay, it's another art book. Their art books tend to actually be very good. I do have a few of them. So Dynamite does do very good books like that. Another Vampirella book, The Art of Vampirella. So you can see where they're pushing really hard. This is Joe Quesada cover. Remember this? This had originally come out and this was all foil stamped in red. It was actually look kind of cool, the original. Alright, some statues. 50th anniversary of Vampirella. Some more statues. Now they're putting out coins. What is that? The Boys logo collectible enamel pin set. Okay. All right. Interesting. And they have the Boys on coins. All right. If you're into that sort of thing, I actually enjoy the books very much. So, yeah. Volume 1, 2, 3. I actually I already read these two. I'm waiting on this one to come in. They have some more enamel pins. Vampirella. It's kind of cool. Betty Page, Savage Tales. Alexander, Chastity. Devil is another character. Is actually supposed to be Daredevil. Is another copyright-free character from the 40s and 50s that they've just been using. They've taken on a bunch of these characters and just been doing some interesting things with them. Elvira, Red Sonja. Never been a big fan. Battlestar Galactica, like I said, I'm not into the this sort of thing. Vampirella. Mars Attacks. Now we're going into Boom. I don't know. This looks interesting. You know, when it comes out in trade, maybe I'll pick it up. Judas. The Buffy stuff. For a little while, I was picking this stuff up, but it was just not the same. I enjoyed the TV show, but you know, like anything else, you eventually move on. Angel, Firefly. Never got into Firefly. Although I did like the movie, the one movie they released, whatever it was called. Snoopy, A Beagle of Mars. I don't know. I actually enjoy Snoopy, but it's not necessarily my thing, so I would move on. I haven't watched wrestling in years. I'm a big UFC fan, but I'm not a big wrestling fan, so it's not really something I'd buy. But, you know, for those of you who are fans. No. Bone Parish. I don't think I ever picked any of these up. I tend to pick up Cullen Bunn's create-owned stuff. So this is probably something I'll probably look into. I didn't order the first two, so I may actually back up and get some of those. So Faithless, Brian Azzarello. I found Brian Azzarello to be hit or miss. I enjoyed his Wonder Woman work. There was another thing that I read of his that I really didn't enjoy, so I don't know. But I really did enjoy his Wonder Woman run. Power Rangers, like I said, not my sort of thing. Ronin Island. Is this a softcover? Yeah, I think I ordered the hardcover on this, so I'm looking forward to that. This should be getting my next shipment. Jim Henson. Although I have been picking up a lot of the Jim Henson stuff. Early on, when they had certain creators on them, like a lot of the creators they have on now, just haven't been able to get into it, so I'm skipping it. I'm skipping a lot of it. Giant Days as Time Go By. Not really my cup of tea. You know. Lumberjanes, can never get into it, so Hex and Vet. Not really my sort of thing. This is, I think a lot of this stuff is geared towards, not so much, this is like lost lead stuff that they're producing through the comic book market, maybe just to cover their initial expenses and initial costs, and then make their money on the back end as trades and hardcovers that they're going to sell to libraries. And I think that's where they're primarily focusing a lot of these books too. So just remember that, guys. To buy those books, you're just, you know, you're just a lost lead for libraries. Alright, what do we got? Aardvark van Hiem, Jacket Story. A lot of fun. I have the original, well, I wouldn't say the original printings, but I have the what he would call phone book of this. So I did that a long time ago. I have had it for years, read it a long time ago. Really, really good stuff. Color Your Own Cerebus and Hell one shot. I may or may not get that. I've been picking up some here and there. Depends how I feel about them. This I heard about, Ablaze, the Cimmerian Queen of Black Coast. Now this is a Conan comic. Some of the stuff has fallen into public domain, and there was some company in Europe that's been producing the comics. They can't use the word Conan or the name Conan because it's trademarked. I don't understand how one goes with the other. Obviously, corporations made this happen so that people wouldn't be able to get a hold of the names. It's unfortunate. I think if one portion falls into public domain, it should all fall into public domain. There's no reason for Conan not to be part of it. I think they can call him Conan in the book. I don't think they could just use the title because it is trademarked. And there is certain portions of the work that is still in the realm of copyright. They still have a few years before they can fall into public domain. I think that whole trademark thing over the name is probably going to have to be some kind of crazy legal battle that's just going to go on between academics and corporations, probably for many years to come. Vampire State Building. Who's this by? Probably something I'll skip over. Now this is entire section. This is the back of the catalog. This is all indie stuff. So a lot of it, you can have a lot of weird companies. Like Abrams is actually a big company that produces books primarily for the book market, but they'll release them into the Diamond catalog, so that bookstore is so that the regular comic book shops can get a hold of them. But that's not their primary focus. Their primary focus is bookshops and libraries and that sort of thing. Like a company like this, Absolute Comics Group, Red Giant Entertainment. These guys have been around for a little while. I've never picked up any of their books. Whether or not they're any good, I couldn't tell you. Terry Moore's stuff I do tend to pick up, but I only tend to pick it up when he's done with it and he's in giant omnibuses. So that's usually the sort of thing I get. 5 years, I don't know what it is. Like I said, I'll wait till it's in giant omnibus and I'll probably pick it up then. Then Action Lab. Small company, but they do a lot of good books, and they also have AC Comics. These guys have been around forever. I remember Femforce when I was a kid. They had a book called Captain Paragon that I absolutely loved when I was like 12. So they've been around for a long, long time. As Bill Black, many of his associates. I don't even know if he's still working on the books, if he's retired. But these were a lot of fun back in the day. I don't know about now. I haven't picked one up in years. Then there's Action Lab, and they have a lot of good stuff here. You know, something like Harold Lovecraft, Tesla Volume 4. Like, this is the sort of thing I might actually check out. Just because I'm, it has certain buzzwords, Lovecraft and Tesla, so it might be something I might look at. Then you have things like this Dollface, which is not really my sort of thing, and Zombie Tramp, the same thing. It's just these books that they put out with 10,000 covers that, if it's your thing, it's your thing, great, but it's not necessarily mine. Ad House Books, with Time One, graphic novel. Alright, then what do we got here? Aftershock, Horde. Doesn't really look like my thing. I mean, the artwork looks really nice. So, like I said, when it's a hardcover, that's interesting. 72 pages for $20. It looks interesting. The price for what you're getting, I don't find to be very interesting. It's 72 pages. It's $20. It's a hardcover, but still, I don't think it's worth the cost on it. Dark Ark, After the Flood. Yeah, this is Cullen Bunn. Couldn't get into this one for some reason. I just read it. It was like, wasn't really my favorite thing. To be honest, it felt like something they called him up and he had sitting on the bottom of his somewhere in the bottom of his stack of projects, and he was just like, "Oh, I got this one," and he said, "Here you go, guys, you can have that one." I'm, that may be unfair to him and to the project too, but and I apologize for that. But I really do like Cullen's stuff, but that particular one I couldn't get into. Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated. Okay, doesn't really sound that great. Midnight Vista, Last Space Race. Knights Temporal. Another one by Cullen Bunn. That's a maybe. I might pick it up when it comes out in trade. Jimmy Bastards. Hardcover, the complete series. By Garth Ennis and Russ Braun. So this is a maybe. I might actually pick this up. Primarily because of Garth Ennis. Stuff tends to be very satirical, very angry. Very mean, I guess, to some degree. Ahoy Comics, I've been picking up a lot of their stuff. Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Terror trade paperback. That's a possibility. I might pick that up. Albatross is another one. I've been picking up a lot of their stuff. The Goon number 7, like I said, I'll pick up single issues, but I do see. But this one I'll definitely pick up. Goon Bunch of Old Crap Volume 2. I picked up the first one and I enjoyed it, so I will be getting this one. And then Alterna Comics. These books I find very interesting. They print them on newsprint, and they're only $1.50, so it's very inexpensive. So, I always tell everyone, I say you should just try out a few of their books. If you like them, get more, obviously. So yeah, they tend to release a lot of different types of books, and some of them tend to be fun. I mean, they run from they have one here that's $1. They have one that's $1.99. They have one that's 99 cents, and they have 3 of them that are $1.50. So you can order the entire line for a few bucks. It's just, you're not gonna break your wallet, which is really cool. Oh, and I got another one, Void Walker. I'll probably pick this one as issue 1. So yeah, so there you go. Alternative, amazing. I never could really get into a lot of that stuff. Although a lot of the stuff I know is interesting, like Squee and stuff. American Gothic. It's a Bruce Lee toy. What is this? American Mythology. Yeah, this is one of these companies that just produce a lot of odd little things, like the Zorro and the Monster Man. I don't know. It's just very, very. It's very poor layout. There's just a lot of stuff on here, just thrown on. Mego Comics, Apocalypse Girl. I mean, that's probably the sort of thing I'll pick up and trade. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I got a friend of mine who does the editing on that. It's kind of funny. Admiral Entertainment, Cave Woman. I mean, if it's your sort of thing, you know. What do we got? Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, illustrated edition, hardcover. I had read Harry Potter, the original novels when they came out, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the movies, but you know, I'm not gonna pick up an illustrated version of them. I've been enjoying William the Last in trade. I got one of those. I'll probably review that sometime in the future. Tether, some of these. This is Antarctic Press, and the Gold Digger by Fred Perry, who's been, I mean, he's up to 270. I mean, just incredible, you know, the amount of work that guy's put in. So, you know, that guy's been around forever. And then you have this one, badass, Bureau of Alien Detection and Supernatural Sightings. So yeah, this looks interesting. I'll probably pick this up when it comes out in trade. Looks like a lot of fun. Dog Eaters is one from a few years ago. They came out, they're re-releasing it. Like I said, when it comes out in trade, I'll probably pick that up. Then we have Archie, which again, I mean, I like Sabrina the TV show on Netflix, but not really my thing. This is Aspen Comics, Lola, Soulfire. I haven't picked up much over the years by Aspen. I mean, some of this stuff is good. It's just never really been my thing. Then you have a lot of these other little companies, a Wave Blue World Inc. These are all number ones. Well, they got one trade. They have a couple of things, and then they have Avatar, which I haven't really been buying anything from in a few years. They have Warrior Nun. Warrior Nun was originally released by Antarctic. I think Ben Dunn sold it to them at some point when he, I guess, needed the funds. And he sold it to Avatar, and they sold it to Netflix. So they're making a TV show. And, you know, they're going to put out their thing, which, I mean, I just don't have a lot of faith in as far as it being quality. Most of their stuff that has been good has been released by the writers that they've worked with. Warren Ellis has done a lot of work with them, Alan Moore, Garth Ennis, so on and so forth. But this sort of thing, I don't know. I just doesn't look good to me. Providence. I have a love-hate relationship with Alan Moore. I really enjoyed like his Swamp Thing work. I absolutely love it. His Miracle Man work. I absolutely love it. Watchmen. I found very interesting. Enjoyed it. A lot of his stuff over the last few years, I've just found it interesting. The only problem with that is that it's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's just interesting. And sometimes it just boils down to it just being boring. And that's usually the issue that I have with his work now. It just bores me. So it's just like, okay, so I'm just not finding the interest in it anymore. It's kind of a shame because the stuff is still really great. You can read it. You feel that the man knows what he's doing. His stuff is very well written. But you know, for some reason, it just doesn't capture me anymore. Which is a shame. All right, now we can move on. Lady Mechanic, I picked up the first volume in hardcover. Very good book. I'm going to continue picking up those eventually. Usually that's the sort of thing I pick up on a slow month where there's not much in the catalog that I'm going to get. Boundless, the only thing I can say about this is the less that I say about it, the better. Yeah, it seems like Blizzard's getting into it. I guess they're pulling away and they're releasing a lot of Warcraft stuff. So, Broadsword Comics, Jim Ballant. He's been doing this tarot. He's been doing that for years. So, I mean, hey, good for him. Those are my parakeets. And once in a while, they just like to scream. Cameron Books. Cartoon Books. This is Jeff Smith. I actually picked this up, Razzle, as a compiled hardcover, which I really enjoyed. Chapter House, Captain Canuck. Stuff is good. I just never really can get into it. Although this one looks interesting. The Fourth Planet. Maybe I'll order that. Let's go through this. What is it? Inspired by a film by Hayao Miyazaki. Alright. I mean, this looks like something I might have picked up a few years ago. I don't know if it's something I'll pick up now. It's just artwork, all inspired by Hayao Miyazaki's work. Huge Totoro fan, huge Miyazaki fan. That's a maybe. If it was something produced by him and his company, maybe I'd get it. But I don't know if I'd want to get something, just a bunch of artist renditions of various cartoons that he's done. Sign book. They tend to release books from, they release books from Europe. Sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's difficult to keep up with all the different ones. Coffin Comics, Lady Death. If it's your cup of tea, you know. It's nice to see that, I guess, Comic Mix is reprinting Grimjack. So that's pretty cool that those are coming back out. I don't know if I have the full run, but I know I have a big portion of it in my collection somewhere from back in the day. We have nothing else that really looks all that interesting. I mean, I kind of like that, the Necronomicon, which is somebody just, playing on the Necronomicon. H.P. Lovecraft doing, I guess, food things. And then you got Devil's Due, Squares Volume 2, Summer number 4. I'm waiting for the hardcover. I actually backed it on Kickstarter. So, but this book is actually a lot of fun. Ashley Witter, Ash Meshko. A lot of fun, that book. Waiting for that hardcover to come out. A lot of fun. What else do we got here? Disney, Star Wars. Right? Star Wars. Hulk. EC Comics. Classic 1950s stuff. The Weird Science is usually a lot of fun, and Tales from the Crypt are usually a lot of fun. So if you like older stories. I mean, this is the sort of thing, like, they have a lot of monster stuff here. I guess what it is now, they're filling up the back of the catalog. There's just not enough material in comics anymore, so they're putting in magazines, and they're filling it with novels, and they're filling it up with just about anything that's publishing, just to get everything in there. Fantagraphics books, if you like alternative stuff, they have a lot of that. They've released some stuff over the years that I've picked up. Currently, they're not releasing anything that I myself personally would ever pick up, but they do produce quality work. The stuff they always do is always good. First Comics, Hamilton, Floating World Comics. This one looks interesting. Maybe I'll pick that up. It's just that when it comes down to indie books, there's a lot of hit or miss. There's a lot of them coming out. You go on Kickstarter, you can see up to 100 different projects being released every month. Same thing with Indiegogo. I don't know if they have up to 100, but maybe there's probably at least 30 or 40 on there. Additional, plus what's coming out through previews, through the various companies. So it's always difficult to, sometimes you're just guessing on what's going on, A lot of these books don't have their own websites. You go looking for them, and you just don't find it. Frank Thorne's Ribbit. Wow, this is interesting. This is something I remember from way back in the day, and I guess they're reprinting it in a hardcover. So that might be something I might pick up. I picked this up, the 49th Key. This was from Heavy Metal. I thought this was all right when it came out. Let's see what else have we got here. Bias. Humanoids. Now they have the Twilight Man, Rod Serling, and the Birth of Television. Okay. I mean, that sounds like something I'd rather read as a novel rather than as a graphic novel. But I guess they're trying something different. Yeah, and I think they're Humanoids are trying to release their own line of comics. Where I was always getting stuff like this from the Meta Barons, Jodorowsky, Alejandro Jodorowsky, and Juan Jimenez. This stuff is actually very, very good, excellent. This stuff is just batshit crazy, to be quite honest with you. It's a lot of fun to see what the stuff that Jodorowsky comes up with. Impact Theory, Neon Future Volume 1. I mean, that might be something I might be interested in. It depends what the budget is looking like this month. Once I get everything added up, it might be something I add on the back end. And it's just... It's Alive, Airboy number 51. This is a maybe. Never been a huge fan of Chuck Dixon's work, but I've never been not a fan. So it's somewhere in the middle. Some of his stuff I enjoy, some of his stuff I'm like, on. Some of it I don't enjoy, but there has been things I have enjoyed. So that's one that I'm gonna have to just sit on the fence on. Okay. All right. This is probably stuff I'd pass on. Lions Forge, Entertainment, Mooncakes. Looks interesting. Not really my cup of tea. Catalyst Prime stuff I can never really get into. Wormworld Saga. This is a nice looking little book. I got the first 2 volumes. Don't necessarily care for the story. The artwork is very nice. The story is kind of basic and not the greatest constructed, but the guy's doing his best, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get better with time. Yeah, more books. Yeah, a lot of these are just magazines. Battle Cats was actually a lot of fun when I picked it up. Yeah, they got Rue Morgue as an old horror magazine. Yeah, and then, like I said, a lot of this stuff I think is focused not so much on the comic book industry. They're only, I think the 80-20 rule applies, which means is that 20% of the store is by 80% of the product. So a lot of this stuff you're not even going to see in your local comic book shop. Most comic book shops won't even touch this stuff unless you order it on your pull list. A lot of this stuff is stuff I'll never see. I'm not interested in. But a lot of this stuff is just being designed and produced for libraries and the book market. It's just a much larger market. And like I said, they use the direct market as a loss lead, which is a shame because we don't see, there's probably not enough material being produced to be released in the direct market from the direct market, which is a lot of stuff you see at Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Those style books, those are true independents where they're going out there doing their own thing. Sometimes they make it into the catalog, sometimes they don't, sometimes they pair up with a small publisher. But most of the time, the only place you're going to see them is either at shows or on those platforms. So, whereas here, you just see a lot of mass-produced stuff. Some of it is good. Some is very good. And some of it isn't. New England Comics, The Tick, Ben Udlin, these guys have been around forever. And he's a TV producer, so he managed to get his show on the air all the time. So, good for him. Now, Oni Press, Render, 1 of 10, Leo Williams. That looks interesting. That might be good as a trade at some point. Rick and Morty. It's a big pass on that. I'm happy to see this, though. Nice Dominion. I got the first 2 volumes. So I'm looking forward to this. I'll definitely pick this up. This is Ted Neffy. And yeah, I really enjoyed his stuff on the first 2 volumes, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So yeah, this is definitely something I'm going to pick up. Yeah. Stumptown by Greg Rucka. Greg Rucka is also another one who's hit or miss. He's actually a very good writer, but I've read some of his stuff that I didn't enjoy. Like I didn't enjoy his Catwoman run. I picked up the volume. It was illustrated by J.H. Williams, which is the main reason I picked it up. But I was like, okay, let's read it. And some of it was good, and some of it wasn't. And the stuff that wasn't really overpowered it for me. So, but he's written some stuff over at Image that I've actually really enjoyed. So it's kind of, like I said, hit or miss. And then the rest of this is just a lot of stuff. You know, and then you have things like this, which isn't really a graphic novel, but that is probably just a prose book, maybe with some illustrations. I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan, so sometimes I see stuff like that, I get distracted. Yeah, and then we have Rebellion. Haven't really picked up anything from them in years. I used to back in the day. I picked up a lot of Judge Dredd and Judge Dredd is the only one that's coming to mind, but there were several others that I picked up, like Nemesis. Nemesis was very good. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Scout Comics. Yeah, these are guys. Like this is one I might actually pick up. It looks interesting. Girion Volume 1, The Chrysalis and the Stone. Alright, 232 page book, $24.99. That's interesting. I might actually get that. So there's one. And Xenobar is actually one I've been waiting for. Oh no, that's just a one shot. I've been actually waiting for the trade of that one to come out for a while. Snow White and the Zombie Apocalypse. One shot, okay. Zombies are a thing for people. Like I said, vampires for me got, well, you know, in the 90s, they were just a bit overdone. And I think at this point, zombies are just way overdone. There's just no reason to just have that many zombies. I'm waiting for something else to come up like werewolves. I don't know. But I think they kind of might have gone out of style with vampires. The Damnation of Charlie Wormwood. That sounds interesting. Yeah, that's a maybe. So yeah. See, I kind of like that one. Beyond the Demon, the Sea. That looks interesting. But this is a one? Yeah, it's a one shot. So maybe I'll pick that up because it's a one shot. That's interesting. I just ordered Monstrous Volume number 1, and number 2 is already in the catalog. So I'm gonna pick that up too. Oh, even though I haven't gotten the first one, but you know, sometimes that's the way these things work. They have to, sometimes indie guys have to wait. Like they might get all their financing in one shot, and they say, okay, let's put them out back to back like that. So sometimes you just gotta suck it up and just go with it. But I like the art style. It's a little reminiscent of Mike Mignola's style, very Chotoscuro, which is a heavy black and white renditioning, which is something I enjoy. We have Titan Comics, Robotech, not interested. Life is Strange. Okay, that's a maybe. Pets. Although this, I'm gonna pick this up. Oscar Martin solo hardcover. This they had offered this up before, and for some reason they canceled it. I'm gonna be getting this one. Oscar Martin's an incredible artist. This guy, he's from Spain. He if you look, you can see a little bit of his style here with the way he draws. But he also draws stuff like Tom and Jerry, and it's just like spot on to the original cartoons, the way they were done. But then he also draws like this, which is just crazy. The guy's an incredible illustrator, so I'm gonna pick that up. Tank Girl, can never get into it. Hawk Moon, I think I might have already ordered this, and I'm still waiting on it because they haven't released it. Maybe they're just offering it again to up their orders so they can finally release it. Blade Runner, yep, Firefly, Tomorrow's Publishing, they always put out some good stuff. So if you ever want to look into like the history of comics, Tomorrow's probably the place to go. They put out a lot of really good books, interviews with artists and illustrators. Yeah, it's like this is interesting. The MLJ companion softcover. So yeah, the Mighty Crusaders. Oh yeah, so these are books that came out. These I think Archie has these characters, and they've been trying to put them out, and they fail miserably every single time they put them out. It's unfortunate. They sometimes get some decent writers and good people behind them, but they just for some reason it never works out. Which is a shame because they seem to have some fun characters in there, like the Flag and the Fly. So, About Jeff Smith, Conversation softcover. All right, and this is Valiant, which at one time was one of my favorite publishers, but currently they've been moving in a different direction. They don't have all the great. They at one time had a stable of really, really good writers. It's not to say the guys who are here now aren't good, because Fred Van Lente was actually one of the original writers over the years, actually one of the better ones. And I see Cullen Bunn, who's actually a very good writer, and Tim Seeley. They have some very good writers in here. It's just that for me, they just don't have the best. Jeff Lemire, Matt Kint, and several others walked away for whatever reasons. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there. Like Psy Lords. This is by Fred Van Lente, so I might actually pick this up just to see how it is. Yeah, and I know Joshua Dessert. I don't know if it's Dessert or Dessart. I'm probably mutilating the guy's name. Sorry, but this is a maybe. And what do we got here? Volt Comics, spoofing a bunch of famous various covers from Marvel and DC, I guess. Well, that one's from Archie. The Savage Shores. Well, Queen of Bad Dreams wasn't bad. I'm looking forward. I'm waiting for the trade to come out to see if I can pick that up. Resident. Necromancer's Map. I mean, this looks like something I can get into. If I pick that up. And maybe even this one. The plot, I like the artwork. Looks interesting. Okay, let's see what we got here. And we have Zenoscope, which is pretty much the back of the catalog. I could never get into any of their stuff. I remember seeing these guys way back in the day, and they do a lot of cheesecake stuff. But it tends to be fun. It tends a lot of people. They have huge section. My understanding is they have a huge sales overseas, not just in the U.S. but overseas as well. So they do very well all over the world. So then we move into manga, which I'm not going to cover. But if you're into manga, I actually read some, not many. But if you like this sort of thing, I mean, there is a lot of good stuff. It's just that at some point, it just gets into just a little bit too much. I think I'm reading probably anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 pages a month of comic work that's produced here in the U.S. And then if I start throwing this stuff on there, which I have, there are actually a couple books I'm reading. But yeah, when it just starts to become like, oh, it's just a little bit too much. And then once in a while, I actually like to read a novel. So yeah, it does get into that. So yeah, guys, that's the latest previews. It says August on it. This is for October releases. A lot of good stuff in there. Some stuff I'll buy, some stuff I won't. So, you can find this in your local comic book shop every month. I think I paid $4 for it. It's huge. Well worth the $4 if you want to see what's coming out. And pre-order from your various publishers. So, keep an eye out for it. If you like this run, just smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget I'm also running a current Kickstarter for the Oswald Chronicles, my book, which is not in here just yet. Maybe someday not. I've actually been in the previews before with Tall Tales and a few of our other books. It was a long time ago. Been through the process. Sometimes it can be really annoying, I guess, for small publishers dealing with Diamond. And I've spoken to other individual publishers, and it can be very challenging because since you just have usually one book, maybe two, it's a challenge getting into the catalog because they want to see, I believe, up to 4 issues completed, either 3 or 4 issues completed, and it has to be vetted by them. So if they don't like the stuff, you're not getting in. If they do, you get in, but then you have to meet certain sales figures. And if you don't meet those figures, they're just going to cancel your book. So you may get in, and it may just be temporary. One of the things that I remember one guy used to do, and he ran it for a while, was every 4 issues, he had an ongoing series, but every 4 issues he would renumber it. So it would be issue 1, and then through 4, and then he would just, okay, that came out, and then he would just start renumbering it 1 through 4, and didn't matter. He would just, that's how he ran his series. Even though by the time you hit the 5th series, and it was really issue like 20 or something, but it was like, he had to do it just for the sake of the marketplace, because you put out your first issue, you can get decent sales as an indie. Decent sales can be as 5,000, 4,500, you know. Sometimes it doesn't even go that high. I know if you look at a site like Comicron, they'll tell you that if you look at a lot of the number ones for indies, you might be looking at 2,000 books, 2,500 books. And it's rough, you know, trying to make those numbers when you're when that's all you're getting, you know, especially if you have to pay a staff. And I'm definitely a proponent of lowering prices on books. I think $5 books and $4 books, a little too pricey. But then again, I've been around for a while, so I remember when I was a kid, I was buying books for 50 cents. So, you know, I remember going into a comic book shop with $10 or $20, and I'd walk out of there with a stack of books, just be happy as a clam. You know, for me to walk out of a comic book store with 20 books, I have to have $100 in my pocket. You know, what kid gets $100 every week from their parents? You know, that's not to say those kids don't exist. They definitely do. But on average, do parents want to give their kids $100 to go have a shopping spree at a comic book store? And then also, they're not just going to spend it on comics. They might pick up a pop. They might pick up a trade. They might pick up anything, something else, you know, manga. They're not just going to pick up comic books. So there's a lot of, you know, additional distractions. When I was a kid, you walked into a comic book store, it was a comic book store. That's all there was in it. Maybe on occasion you might find a poster. Maybe on occasion you'd find a t-shirt. But for the most part, it was just comics. Wall to wall. Kind of miss it, honestly. You know, I just went into my LCS, that's where I picked up this copy of this catalog, the previous catalog, and in there is just like I wouldn't say wall-to-wall pops, but there's definitely a huge wall of pops in there. You go to Midtown Comics, which is also one of my local comic book stores. I live in New York. When you walk in there, there's pops all over the place, although they do have massive wall with just comic books, and they have huge racks of graphic novels and trades and hardcovers. So they definitely push their comics really, really hard. You know, you go upstairs, there's like toys and things, and then they have their back issues. But for the most part, you know, a lot of shops are just, you know, selling. They're not just comic book shops anymore. They're just, I don't want to call them stuff shops, but you know, they're definitely selling things other than just comic books. I just kind of miss the pure comic aspect of it. But that's, you know, that's just me reminiscing. You know, as a kid, things always look better in hindsight. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye.